A Dupree woman. Find your inner strength.
Once we launch my purse line, we'll be on our way to giving the Kardashians a run for their money. I'm gonna shake things up.
A cycle of anger isn't healthy.
I'll be healthy again as soon as I make a couple of cheaters pay for blowing up my life.
There were a number of times when you or a member of your family needed a favor. This is a situation where you owe me one. Have a nice rest of your day.
It sounds like someone deliberately tried to hurt you.
Sounds like attempted murder.
Can't imagine how terrified you must have been.
I found out who did this.
Shanice ribs Ted about his recent scuffle with Carlton. Can he, she wonders, handle his business partner pursuing Nicole? Their conversation is both friendly and a little flirty, something Eva seems to pick up on as she observes them together. Together, the three of them find a way to get a man into surgery despite not having insurance.
How?
By asking Leslie to cover a complete stranger's surgery. Eva says her mom will do it because she knows what it's like to be in that situation. And sure enough, Leslie agrees. But when Eva shares this news with Ted and Shanice, Kat overhears her rival call him Dad and loses her you-know-what, storming away in a fit. Having witnessed the mess, Nicole tells Eva this is Ted's situation to deal with. As Martin is dealing with bickering teens on the home front, Martin is calling out Kat. He's ticked that her conversation about sex left his eavesdropping daughter deciding to turn up the heat with Nathan. Kat is shocked to learn about Sam's actions. He's incredibly harsh, ignoring every very valid point she makes, including that she waited to have sex and wound up doing so in a valuable relationship. But he calls her a bad influence. Sam suggests to Smitty that her dads are overreacting. Haven't they always preached that the punishment should fit the crime? She asks. But things are about to get worse, because Martin tells Kat that Sam will no longer be working for Chelsea Kat. Heading home, he drops that bombshell on Sam, who is stunned. Things quickly get heated, with Sam eventually saying she hates Martin before grabbing her backpack and saying she'll find somewhere else to live. Danny is shocked when Pamela says she won't be able to attend the photo shoot at Forrester Creations.
Why?
She's pursuing a potential model for their budding agency. Andre is clearly uncomfortable when Pam predicts that millions of people will see the results of the shoot. Saying they need to boost his confidence, Danny does a very sexy photo shoot with her husband. Looking at the pics, he sees himself in a whole new light, and her as well. The scent of rosemary and roasting chicken usually meant peace in the Miller household. It was Kat's favorite smell, a sensory blanket that meant family, safety, and the gentle rhythm of a Sunday evening. At 17, she clung to these rituals, the familiar clatter of her mother, Helen, in the kitchen, the low murmur of the television from the living room where her father, Martin, was watching a game. It was all so normal. It was a lie. Tonight, the lie felt particularly thin. A tension had been humming beneath the surface for weeks, a silent, discordant note that started the day the Carvers had moved in next door. Sam Carver, with his easy smile and troubled eyes, had become her refuge, a co-conspirator in the strange, unspoken war between their two families. Her father, Martin, and Sam's father, Ray, had taken an instant, visceral dislike to one another, a cold war fought over property lines and the volume of lawnmowers. Kat was supposed to be retrieving the good serving platter from the top shelf of the laundry room cupboard. Her mother's voice, tight with an anxiety Helen could never quite conceal, had just instructed her to do so. But as she passed the closed door of her parents' home office, she heard her father's voice, low and intense. He was on the phone. "I know it's a risk, Ray, but what choice do we have?" Martin's voice was a strained whisper, but it carried through the polished wood.
Ray?
Kat froze, her hand hovering near the doorknob. Why would her father be on a first-name basis with the man he claimed to despise? "The transfer went through this morning," Martin continued. 30,000. It should cover the next round. Just keep your wife calm. The last thing we need is Helen or Sarah asking questions. A cold dread, sharp and liquid, began to pool in Kat's stomach. Sarah was Sam's mother. 30,000. The numbers hung in the air, grotesque and meaningless. Cover what? What round? I told you, it's not about the money. Martin's voice sharpened, losing its hushed quality. It's about keeping this quiet. For the kids. Do you think I want this? Do you think I enjoy looking at my daughter every day, knowing what I know? Knowing what your boy? He trailed off, and the silence on the other end of the line was somehow more terrifying than the words. Kat felt the world tilt. The rosemary chicken scent from the kitchen now smelled cloying, suffocating. Knowing what I know. Knowing what your boy. The pieces, jagged and horrifying, began to click into a picture she couldn't bear to see. The secret payments. The staged animosity. The shared, furtive fear in their father's eyes. It wasn't a feud. It was a cover-up. And it involved her and Sam.
She didn't hear the rest.
She stumbled back, away from the door, her vision blurring. The good platter forgotten, she fled to the one place she felt safe, the rickety wooden bench at the far end of the garden, pressed against the fence that separated their property from the Carvers. Next door, Sam Carver was wrestling with his own version of the tension. His father, Ray, had been drinking again, his mood shifting from maudlin to belligerent as the evening wore on. The air in the Carver house was thick with the smell of cheap whiskey and regret. You spending time with that Miller girl again? Ray slurred, his eyes narrowed at Sam across the cluttered dining table. Sarah, Sam's mother, flinched and began clearing plates with a frantic energy. What's it to you? Sam shot back, his jaw tight. At 18, he was all coiled anger and protective instinct, especially where his mother was concerned. It's a lot to me. Ray slammed his glass down, amber liquid sloshing over the side. I don't want you near them. You hear me? Those people are trouble. They're trouble? Sam laughed, a harsh, brittle sound. That's rich, coming from you. You, who can't even look Martin Miller in the eye without sweating. What's the real problem, Dad? What aren't you telling us? It was an old argument, but tonight it felt different. The pressure cooker of their lives was about to blow. Ray stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. You watch your mouth, boy. You don't know what you're talking about. You think you're so smart? You have no idea what I've done, what I've had to do to keep this family afloat. His voice cracked on the last word, and in that crack, Sam saw not just a drunk, but a terrified man. Keep us afloat? Sam stood too, his height suddenly making him tower over his father. By taking his money? Is that how you're doing it? I'm not blind, Dad. I see the new checks you're writing. I see the way you jump when your phone buzzes. What did you do? What does Martin Miller have on you? The back door was open, letting in the cool evening air. Their raised voices carried, a stark counterpoint to the quiet misery next door. Martin Miller, having ended his call and feeling the walls of his own house closing in, had stepped outside for a breath. He stood on his pristine patio, listening to the unraveling happening just a few feet away. You want to know? Ray roared, his facade of paternal authority crumbling into pure, unadulterated shame. You want to know the truth?
Fine.
Maybe it's time you. He was cut off as Sam, enraged and desperate for answers, shoved past him and stormed out into their own garden, his chest heaving. He saw Martin then, standing there on the other side of the low fence, a silent, judgmental statue.